Welcome to the West Boca Community Council. We're going to have a little change up in our schedule tonight on our speakers so that we can accommodate our Palm Beach County Sheriff's therapy dogs. I want to thank you all for coming tonight. I'm Sherry Scarborough, the President of West Boca Community Council. For those of you that are new tonight that I haven't had the opportunity to meet before, thank you for coming. Since we do have a busy schedule and we want to get to the dogs, I'm going to ask for, well, first I'm going to tell you who's here, and then I'm going to ask Captain Moss to come up and give an update. Captain Moss is with us, Lieutenant Piclio is with us, Major Keen's with us tonight, Rodney Stratham, and Rodney is with Palm Beach County Clerk of Courts, correct? Thank you for coming. Mike Pratt, Palm Beach County Property Appraiser. Mike's always the guy that you go to get your homestead exemption. So thanks for coming tonight. And Gwen Gonzalez from Representative Skidmore's office. I know she left something on everyone's seat. And next month we're going to hear from Representative Skidmore and some other legislative updates. So plan on that next month. And I'm sorry, I know I'm talking really fast. I'm just trying to get some things in.
Who are you?
I'm the one that talks really
fast.
No, right?
Your name?
I said it. I'm
Say it again.
Scarborough, West Boca Community Council President. I said it first thing, Fred.
Did you say your name though? I didn't hear Sherry.
No, I did not.
Tell us your name, just for the folks at home.
Fred, Sherry Scarborough.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's on our website, WBCC, West Boca Community Council.
Thank you.
Captain Moss. I know a lot's been going on, not some not so very good things lately, but go ahead.
Hello everyone, if you don't know me, my name is Captain Moss. I'm the commander of West Boca Raton. I just want to, the update is, we have our therapy dog program here tonight, and they're really going to steal the night. Everyone should enjoy it, so I don't want to take up any time. We have Major Chris Keen here, again, Lieutenant Dan Piccolo, Bill Feeman, Teresa Grimaldi with the dog, and Tanya also with Reggie, the big dog over there. So, if no one has any questions, I want to, oh, go ahead, Mike.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
We're told that you're no longer patrolling Boca Chase. Is there a reason for that?
I don't know who told you that, because
we're no longer.
That's the permit deputies.
okay.
But there's a shortage on the permit deputies.
Where's the permit deputy?
So if you're talking Boca Chase, because that's where you live,
The whole
right?
community, yeah.
Yeah. So some communities will hire, in addition to regular patrol deputies, extra as a permit, meaning Boca Chase pays extra money for it. And sometimes the positions are posted. It may or may not get filled. I have no idea what you're talking about in terms of it not being filled.
That's the word going around that you're.
Okay, well, I know, but that's just based on the word. There's a lot of rumor out there. So the bottom line is, we regularly patrol the entire West Boca, to include Boca Chase, and certainly that's on our area of patrol. And if you call us, we will be there 24/7, no matter what. If maybe the president or someone from the community that's on a board or something like that wants to find out if they've hired a permit deputy, if that deputy is going to, if that position is filled or not, then they can call and I can probably look that up. Sometimes it may be filled. Sometimes it may not be filled. Like when we had South Florida Fair, that took up a lot of resources there. But now it might be a different story. So it's really on case by case. Yes, sir.
Captain?
Fred.
Does Century Village get any kind of regular patrol?
Sure, yes they do. That's also included. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mike Pratt, do you have anything you want to update?
No, it's just great to see West Boca Community Council back together again. And I'm glad I'm here and I'm looking forward to your great program. Property Bridge is here for you.
Thank you. Thank you. Gwen Gonzalez, Representative Skidmore's office. You want any quick update?
We're going into a special session next week. Representative Gilmore is on the Congressional Redistricting Committee, so they're going to be working on Congressional Redistricting map. As you know, the governor vetoed the maps that were submitted, so that's what they're going to be up there doing next week. Hopefully they'll have a map to submit by the end of that, but I think that's about it. Yes.
Thank you. I see Commissioner Sachs has joined us. If you want 2 minutes to give us a quick update.
Sure. I love all these dogs. I want to take one of them home. I'm Maria Sachs, and I am County Commissioner for District 5. Hi, folks. Anyways, good to see everybody. I know everybody's concerned about traffic, and I'm setting up meetings with all the different homeowners associations. Your president, Ms. Scarborough, and I are working on a date certain that I can speak to members of this organization. A lot of folks came to me and asked if they could volunteer for certain things because they got through COVID or the family got through COVID, and they're very, very grateful. So what I did is I set up a meeting with many, many different voluntary organizations, non-for-profits. Any of these organizations have been approved by the county. And they're going to be at the South County Civic Center this Thursday. We have buses going there, but if anybody does want to come, you're talking about police being able to go around your community. COPS, cops, citizens on patrol. There will also be a booth there for our sheriff. And if this is something that you want to volunteer for, it's going to be there. I'm going to pass these around, and you can see we're going to have animal care and control. They'll have dogs that are up for adoption, and cats, little kitty cats, up for adoption or to foster, and many other organizations as well. So if I could, would you pass? This guy was very helpful, by the way. You know, we had just take one more minute. And your president was there when we had the secretary of the Florida Department of Transportation come. And your organization was well represented by many of those of you who are in the executive committee, as well as your president, Sherry Scarborough. And then last week I met with Jerry O'Reilly, who is the state engineer for these 3 counties. And you're on the map, believe me. We're going to get some things done. Here's some more. Thanks, Joe. Appreciate it. Thank you very much. So, pleasure to see you. I know you've got a good speaker here that's going to follow me. Mr. Weinroth, you can always tell where he's at by his socks. But I'm always here for you. The next time, well, hopefully, maybe before the next time, because we're looking at a meeting possibly in June. So if I don't see you beforehand, the next time it'll be with maps and engineers, and we'll take care of these traffic issues. So thank you very much.
Commissioner Sachs?
Yes, sir.
Take a question?
Oh, of course, from you, of course.
Sure. You mentioned, I think the proper name is Citizen Observer Patrol. Volunteers that drive what looks like sheriff's cars, but they're just eyes and ears. We have been without the services of this very valuable crime deterrent at Century Village, Boca Raton, for at least 3 years, 2 of which was the COVID interruption.
Sure.
I understand that.
Fred,
But now,
Fred,
Yeah.
can I ask that you do that at another time, since it is specific?
well, I was just going to ask if you could look into that. That's it.
Okay.
All right? We'll leave it at that.
I'll
And the
talk.
other thing is, there's a map behind you. Is anything going on with that interchange?
Okay. What I'll do is I'll talk to you tomorrow on the phone
Okay.
and give you the information on the
That would be fine.
COPS.
That would be fine.
Okay, and I'll
Okay.
also give you information on that as well.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, good to see you.
Doing a great job.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you.
And I'm sorry, I forgot to mention that Leslie Schreiber is here with us tonight. Leslie is the sheriff's right hand, is always available to us, and thank you for coming. Do you want to give an update for the sheriff?
I don't think so. I think Captain Ross did everything, and we just had these fabulous dogs here, and that's
Perfect.
more important.
Perfect. So, the last thing that I have to say before we meet our dogs, I was going to say dog and pony show, but tonight we just have the dogs. We'll do the ponies later. is the 4th of July. This year is a big year for Parks and Recs. It is an anniversary, a big anniversary for them. There'll be a tremendous show out at the amphitheater. So if you haven't made plans for the 4th of July, mark your calendar and plan on being there. It's going to be really good this year. Lots of fireworks, lots of good stuff to do. So with that being said, I'm going to turn it over to Deputy Furman that is going to give us an overview of what these wonderful dogs do, how they help the community, how the program started, and how we can help them going forward.
Good afternoon, or good evening. Again, I'm Deputy Bill Feynman. This is Deputy Teresa Grimaldi and Tanya Hedlerly. I will go over how we kind of got to this point. I do want to thank Ms. Scarborough. Mayor, thank you for letting us jump ahead of you, sir. We've had a long day with the dogs, so we kind of want to get them in and get them out because they've got another long day planned tomorrow. I have to, of course, recognize our major in the back there, Major Keene, because he has been an integral part of this progressive leadership in Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office that has allowed us to expand this program. Captain Moss, thank you for the invite, and Ms. Leslie also. And I may be a little nervous tonight. I typically am not, but my first lieutenant when I came to this agency is sitting in the room. So this is the first time presenting in front of my lieutenant, my first lieutenant. No, but he's a great guy, Lieutenant Piccolo. So about 2 years ago, I was in narcotics, and narcotics is kind of a little bit of a dark world. And it was about the time that the Minneapolis incident happened, and I was looking for an opportunity to transition out of narcotics to go back to the road, back specifically to community policing, which I like and enjoy best. I was trying to figure out a way that the Sheriff's Office would re-engage some of our disenfranchised communities. And I remember when I worked out in the Western community in Belgrade with Lieutenant Piccolo, I had a partner who had a search and rescue dog. And no matter how engaging I was with the kids after school, anytime he would pull up, they'd see K9 on the side of his car and they'd all run to his truck because they wanted to see it. And they thought he had a real K9 patrol dog. They thought he had a shepherd or a Mal, one of those dogs. But when they found out what kind of dog he had, we would always do an exercise, and I'd take my handcuffs or a magazine or something, and we'd throw it, and the dog would go and find it, and these kids were just in awe of the dog. So I stumbled on a program out of Winter Haven Police Department where they had therapy dogs. And what they did with those dogs was they used them in-house for officers who were either going through PTSD or had suffered some kind of traumatic incident at work. So they would come back into the office and they'd spend time with the dog. The dog actually would live in dispatch there at the agency, so the dog stayed with the department for 24 hours. So I drafted a proposal, we sent it up, the sheriff reviewed it, likes the proposal because of course Sheriff Bradshaw loves dogs, so hence we are. We started out with 2 dogs, it was actually 3 dogs. It was Miss Heatherly and I and another lady who has since retired her dog. And our goal at the time was to focus on domestic violence and sexual assault victims. Dea and I graduated on a Friday, and Monday morning I was back in town with her, and I had her in the vehicle, and a car crossed the median on Military Trail and ran into a grandmother head-on who was transporting her grandchildren to school. While the grandmother was being extricated from the vehicle by fire rescue, again, this was not a plan for the dog. We only thought about sex assault and domestic violence. Well, I take the dog out so while the grandkids are playing with her, they don't have to witness what's going on with grandma while they remove her from the vehicle. So that was another box that we were able to check off. These dogs go through a significant amount of training, probably about 300 hours. About 40% of their training is obedience. The other 60% is environmental stuff. We visit the malls, we visit Home Depot, different places. A lot of what you and I take for granted by our eyesight and our hearing, the dogs feel it differently. They see differently. Their depth perception is differently. I'm a pretty tall guy, but Lieutenant Piccolo is taller than me, so these dogs, he's a giant to them based on their perception. So we have to engage all types of people because we don't know the circumstance that we're going into. We have worked homicides, we've worked suicides. We've gone as far as Indian River County to work with these dogs. Major Keene just approved recently, I'll be attending the Florida Sheriff's Association Memorial, where last year we lost 30 officers. So their names are going to be added to the wall, and this is the first time that they want the dogs there to comfort these families. Some cases that kind of stick out in particular for us, I had a 16-year-old girl who had been sexually assaulted over the course of 4 years by a relative. When I took Dea into the room with her, she was not immediately disclosing to the detectives the information or the things that had happened to her. But what we noticed was she was petting the dog from head to tail, and when that particular person was present who was involved and participated in her sexual assault, she would take the dog and rake her from the butt to her head. And she would just go the opposite direction. It was an unconscious thing that she was doing. So these dogs may not be a miracle, but what we find is that they bring that comfort and that peace, and it's a necessary distraction, particularly when they're talking to these victims, and it gives the detectives an opportunity to kind of really ask those pointed, candid questions without them being so focused on what's being asked of them at the time. We have recently re-engaged. COVID slowed us down. We do 2 libraries. We do a read-along program. UCLA did a study some time ago that found that children with a learning disability, when they read to the dogs, in a significant number of cases, their grade levels increase twofold. The dog is non-judgmental. The dog doesn't make any fun if you mispronounce a word or a sentence. We started out with about 4 or 6 kids, and we end up with typically about 24 or 25 kids in these sessions. So we try to limit it to 2 hours, but we always end up going over because the kids have now found out. So they come in, we have a separate private space for them, so nobody gets to hear the kids read except for us and the dog. So the dogs, for the most part, are really looking at these kids and paying attention to them, so the kids want to read more. So every week we find that we're typically having the same kids that come back to us to read to them. Yeah, it's a great program for us. We've had to visit schools. We try to maintain a constant relationship with people that have gone through significant changes and challenges. We had an 11-year-old girl who lived with her mother alone. Her and her mother were asleep in the same bed. The young lady woke up. Mom is lifeless. She calls fire rescue. They tell her how to do CPR on Mom. Mom had probably expired when they went to sleep, so there was no coming back. We ended up meeting the young lady after they called us out to interact with her. So we've continued that relationship, and we make it very special. So we go to visit her in school probably once or twice a month. And when we go there, we allow her an opportunity to walk the dog around the campus. We let her take the dog for lunch, those kind of things. So, you know, if it's just for those moments, we give them an opportunity to just kind of get away and let the dogs kind of be their escape. So we could probably go on and on with a significant amount of stories. I'm not going to hold the mayor's time too long, but we can answer any questions you all may have of us. And if Tanya or Teresa want to add anything, you know, feel free at this time.
I just wanted to add that, you know, the dogs are either donated or rescues. And so that's important, I think, to notate, because we're also giving the dogs a second chance, right? So they're helping the community and they're getting a second chance because they were rescue dogs. And you can see that they're different sizes, they're different breeds, they all have different functions. They can all, you know, they all have their own little nuances. I have the little one, he's great with little kids, elderly people, people maybe with disabilities who can't bend. I'll pick him up, put him in my arms, bring him face to face, eye level with you. So there's so much versatility in these dogs. And so I just kind of wanted to point that out as to why there's, you know, different dogs and where they've come from and things like that. We're not going to talk too long, so that's why. Yes, ma'am. Sorry.
Do the dogs live with one of you all?
Yes, ma'am. The dogs live with each and every handler. So we have 7 dogs. We have 6 handlers, or 5 deputies, and Tanya's our civilian. And so they all live with us and then go to work with us. So they're with us pretty much all the time. As a matter of fact, when he's not, I think I kind of need therapy myself after that. Yes, sir.
Yes, I'm curious, if you come on a scene and there's a canine officer there with his dog, is there any kind of concern about the 2 dogs, or is there any interaction with that? Or?
So we should have covered their ears because they don't know they're not canines. My bad.
As I said, law enforcement canines.
Well, we kind of have a rule of thumb: when the lights are on, the dogs don't work. Meaning, if we're conducting a traffic stop, and Teresa and I work every day, we're on the road. So we do a regular, normal duty patrols. When the lights are on, the dogs are not working. When the lights are off, the dogs work. So if there is a scene like that, these dogs don't come out until the scene is secure. And in most of those cases, as long as it's not a sexual assault case, then Tanya can also participate and we bring her out as well. Yes, sir.
Are we a unique program in the state of Florida?
We are unique in that we have expanded our program faster than a lot of the other agencies are. We have run the first academy, and Dea is only the 2nd dog in the country to be NAP water certified, which is the North American Police Work Dog Association. So we do have some unique qualities about our program and what we're doing. We got a call about a week ago from Broward County Sheriff's Office. We met with Boca Raton Police Department last week to talk about them getting a dog on board. I believe Palm Beach Gardens Police Department, a couple of the others now, and we have been called out by other agencies that do not have a dog to work in some of these cases as well. So, yes, sir.
There's a lot of training you provide for them in general. What type of training is it?
Again, about 40% of it is just obedience. We spend about 10 days prior to even selecting the dog, where we just do testing for different things. We're unique also in that we don't feed our dogs out of bowls. These dogs eat out of our hand every day. So whatever they eat, and we have the dogs on the raw diet, which is probably one of the best things for them, but they eat out of our hand and execute that human interaction. We train every Wednesday as our dedicated training day. So that day may consist of us going to the mall. If you ever visit the Gardens Mall, the interior of the floor is lighter and the border on the outside of the floor is darker. To them, some dogs see that as the center of the floor not being there. So that's one of the things that we have to kind of think outside of the box to take them into. Those doors come open and all of a sudden the dog says, hey, there's nothing there. Well, this is where the dog has to trust the handler. Everything feeds down lead. So if I walk into the store with confidence, the dog says, okay, I can follow him because obviously he knows something I don't know and there's a floor there. Even when we approach certain people, you know, for the most part, these dogs will let you know, I'm not comfortable with that person. And they give it to you. They'll tell you. Tanya has horses. She tells us all the time, you want to really get to know somebody, take them in front of the horses. Well, bring them around the dog. You know, I had one incident where I could not pour her on this guy. She ran away from this guy, didn't want anything to do with this gentleman. And it was late at night, and it was a call out for a gentleman that was suicidal, and this other person just happened to be there. So they know, but I guess the short answer is we try to expose them to as many environmentals as we can. We use a lot of the country clubs down here. We use a lot of the clubhouses, tennis courts. We'll go to the schools after when the band is practicing just for the noise. We take them out to the gun range and expose them to firearms. These dogs are not coming out in that environment where the other patrol dogs normally would, but you know, you don't know what environment you're going into. We make it a point to make them all very social with dogs. One of the first calls I had with her was in a trailer park, and every dog in the trailer park came to see her. If she's dog aggressive, that shuts her down from working with a victim. So we try to expose them to all these things.
And just to follow up on that, a good reason for that is if he's working and let's say you're the victim, he's on your lap or whatever, and a car backfires, right? I can't have him react to that. That wouldn't be a good thing, right? So those are the reasons why we're exposing them environmentally to everything. What's that?
Yeah, he's asleep.
We call him Mellow Milo. His name is Milo, but we call him Mellow Milo. So what did I say? They all have different personalities. And for example, he was in court about 3 weeks ago, 3.5 hours. You didn't even know he was in court. The judge didn't even know he was there. That's how he is. He's quiet, he's calm. You know, he just sits with the victim. He didn't testify, but the victim did, and he was with her when she did. So, yeah. So that's what we used to do.
With the elderly, are you going to nursing homes?
We are.
Yes, that's kind of where Tanya's forte is setting those things up, and we do visit. COVID slowed us down a little bit. We're starting to reschedule for those type of events.
Funerals.
Any other questions? It's an amazing program. It really is.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
These guys are wonderful.
Next.
Gotta wake up.
Next, we're going to hear from our very patient Mayor Weinroth, who represents part of West Boca and is a good friend to us in West Boca. Sorry, I got a little jumpy in this spell. Mayor?
Thank you.
Welcome to the West Boca Community Council.
And I appreciate it. Thank you, Sherry. I know that you're not here for me, we're here for the dogs. But since you're here anyway, I'll take a few minutes of your time. So anyway, seriously, I'm Bob Weinroth. I am currently your county mayor. What that means is the 7 of us sit around one day and say, okay, who's going to be in charge? and then we rotate through us. Last year, as you probably recall, it was Dave Kerner. Before him, it was Mac Bernard. Before him, it was Melissa McKinley. Next year, it will be Greg Weiss. So it's pretty much honorary. We, as a mayor, the first thing I have to learn how to do is run a meeting. And after I learn how to run the meeting, then if there's a problem, like a hurricane, I have to be the one that they're gonna stick the microphone in my face and says, what do you think, Mayor? And usually the answer is, we got it covered. So anyway, I appreciate you coming out today to see the dogs and also see me. I am actually elected east of here. I'm in District 4, which is Boca Raton and going right up the ocean to South Palm Beach. I get pieces of Delray Beach, I get pieces of Boynton Beach, but I'm not a district commissioner, I am a county commissioner. So Commissioner Sachs and I and the other members of the Board of County Commissioners, all 7 of us are interested in everything going on with the county. And one of the greatest things about this county is everybody wants to be here. And one of the worst things about this county is everybody wants to be here. Oh. So, as you know, prices have gone absolutely through the roof. Since the pandemic, all our friends up north that we've been telling how wonderful it is to live down here have finally said, you're right, I'm coming. So the real estate has really been very difficult to manage. If you own real estate, you're probably very happy with yourself because the price of your home has probably gone up about 40 or 50% since the beginning of the pandemic. If you are renting, you're probably not quite as happy because rents have gone up probably about 30 or 40%. We as a board spent 4 hours today, and I probably needed those therapy dogs today because we had 4 hours of very, very intense conversations. And one of the things we were talking about today is how are we going to make this county more affordable for people who want to live here and work here. And that's the real problem we're running into right now. It's great that the housing values have gone up. The median price of a house right now is $500,000. That's pretty amazing because I remember when I came down here 30 years ago, my first house was like $125,000. So things have gone absolutely crazy, and it's a matter of supply and demand. We just don't have enough of a supply. And I know a lot of you probably say, wait a minute, they're doing all that development. Those GL people, they're building everywhere. The fact of the matter is some of the stuff that they're building is high end, and we need more housing stock for people who are not able to afford $1 million home. There is a rule of thumb. You shouldn't have to spend more than 30% of your income on housing. So $70,000 a year sounds like a great salary. But if you take 30% of $70,000, divide it by 12, it comes to about $1,800 a month. You're not going to find a lot of apartments right now at $1,800 a month. It's gotten very scary. And we're having a real problem in the county, and a lot of the businesses in our county are having the same problem. They can't hire. People are just not available. Either they have moved to other counties because they're less expensive, or they need a job that's going to pay a lot more than what the particular job you're trying to offer is offering. So we as a commission are trying to deal with it, and one of the things we discussed today is potentially asking you to approve a bond issue for a couple of $100 million, pocket change, right? And this would help us with the developers in being able to finance some of these homes that we need to, again, this is not people who are down in their luck. This is teachers. This is police officers. This is healthcare workers. This is middle managers. These are people that could be your next door neighbors and you'd be happy to be living next door to them. So we're working on that right now to try and find a happy medium, trying to make sure we understand you are having trouble paying your bills. because inflation just jumped, I don't know if you heard the number today, 8.5% year after year. Now, we haven't seen numbers like that in a long time. I remember, 30 years ago, when I paid my first house, I paid 18% on the mortgage. Now we're paying 3%. Well, maybe it'll be 4% in another month when the Fed gets done with us. But the fact of the matter is, it's very difficult for us to manage this, and we know that we don't want to put a lot on your plate. You're already dealing with higher fuel prices. You're already dealing with the inflation. You're already dealing with food that's getting more and more expensive. So we're going to try and have a balance here, and certainly the 7 of us recognize that we have to balance the need to have people who can work in our county and do the jobs that we want to have done, and the need to make sure that we're not destroying this neighborhood that we love. And again, Palm Beach County, we don't want it to look like Miami-Dade. We don't want it to be Broward. And so we are, again, working on that balance. But I'll take questions in a couple minutes, okay? We really are very fortunate. We have a county that is prosperous, and again, as I said, a lot of people want to be here. We have a budget that the millage has remained constant for the 11 years, the past 11 years, and I don't foresee that number is going to change. Now, what is going to change is because the value of your homes have gone up, there will be a slight increase in your taxes. Not that we increase the millage rate, but because our costs are going up. And the costs are going up because of course, the employees who work for the county need more money, because the sheriff's officers need more money, and the sheriff's office is actually half of our budget. And Rick Bradshaw works very closely with us to make sure that we can finance his operations, which is not just the sheriff's deputies, but it's also the courthouse, it's the airport, it's the jail, and a lot of different things that he's responsible for. But at the end of the day, we have to make sure that we're going to have enough to run the county, and that's going to necessitate a slight increase in your taxes, but that's going to be based upon the value of your homes. So that's basically what's going on as far as the county. I have a lot of stuff I could talk about, but maybe it'd be better if I ask you to give me some questions so I can make sure that I'm answering the questions that are on your mind. You were the first one with a hand up, so you get to be the first question.
What exactly is the $200 million bond, going to actually be spent on? What is you just said assisting developers
And that's a good question. And today we went through for about 2 hours everything that we want to do. Basically, we want to increase the housing stock, but there's other things we need to do. We have to help with financing. A lot of the people who would be able to buy a home can't come up with the down payment that's necessary. It's not, if you're going to buy a home for $500,000, normally you need 20%, that's $100,000. And so we're trying to work on helping with the stopgap of that. We're making land available for some of these workforce housing projects. We're also trying to give back money to some of the developers to offset the impact fees that they have to pay. Obviously, every time you add someone into our county, there's an impact. There's an impact on schools, there's an impact on the roads, and so there's an impact fee, and we're trying to reduce that cost. So what that $200,000 is for is to, again, help us in putting more workforce affordable housing out there. We have been told that we are behind by about 100,000 units, and it's going to be very difficult for a catch-up. There is money that the legislature is supposed to dedicate to workforce housing. When you buy a property or when you mortgage a property, they put stamps on your deed and you put stamps on the mortgage, and that's taxes that you're paying. Well, that money is supposed to go into what's called the Sadowski Trust Fund. And what's happened over the last few years, because we've had emergencies, we've had hurricanes, we had the shooting down in Parkland, And each one of those situations has necessitated the legislature reallocating the money that should have gone to workforce affordable housing to other needs. So it was school security, it was to work on, when Michael hit, to deal with the panhandle and the destruction up there. And we need to get more of that money to come down here to help us in Palm Beach County. So I hope that gives you a little bit of an idea. Yes, sir.
You know, we often hear the governors say that they've had a surplus, the state has had a surplus. Along with floating a bond, is there any way of getting state help, or is that even?
The state has done a great deal for us as far as things for like environment. They've given us about, in the last budget, about over $40 million for the C41 canal, which is out by 20 Mile Bend on Southern Boulevard. We get money from the state, but we are a donor county. And I used to say when I was on the city council in Boca Raton, I was in a donor city. So we don't get back as much as we pay into the state because there are counties that are not as well off as us. So, but we do get help from the state, and we certainly are going to be using that money. And also the feds, of course, have the money from the bipartisan infrastructure bill. We still have ARPA dollars that we got from them, almost $300 million in ARPA funds, which we're using for infrastructure. So we are trying to dedicate that money and use it effectively. Yes, ma'am.
If this bond is going to help with relieving the impact fees or waiting with the developers, how do we counteract the infrastructure that's required to have more houses in our county?
And that's a good question, and we're trying to make sure that we don't rob Peter to pay Paul. So certainly we don't want to be in a position, and you know, when I first moved down here 30 years ago, 441 was a 2-lane road. Well, now it's bigger, and so that costs money. And you know that they're widening some of the roads here. They have to make infrastructure improvements. I'm a transportation geek. So for me, I'm trying to get more people into public transportation, where it's Palmtran or Brightline when they put their station over in Boca. And so we're trying to make investments in things that are going to help everybody. The money that we'll take from the bond will offset some of those discounts that we're offering to the developers to bring on more housing at a lower cost. Yes, sir.
Mayor Weinroth, as one transportation geek to another, does Brightline go through your district?
Yes, it does.
Great. My question is about the safety record. Brightline has been labeled, in terms of crashes per mile, the most dangerous railroad in the country right now. And I think we're well into the 60s as far as fatalities. Now, by the way, first of all, I just want to say I strongly support Brightline. I was there day one to take a buff ride, you know, and I'm not against Brightline. And I also will say that all of these crashes have not involved Brightline's equipment or crossing guards or personnel. They're all trespassers, meaning people going around the gate or crossing in between crossings. So my question is, what do you think can be done to fix this problem? Now, I'm from New York and Long Island.
I'm going to cut you off because I think your question is relevant and important, but I'll answer the question, and if you have a follow-up, I'll certainly take it. Brightline certainly is something that I am very excited about because it's going to be the backbone of our public transportation system. You're going to be able to go from Miami to Walt Disney World on Brightline. I'm looking forward to the day that I'll be able to take it from my condo in downtown Boca. They're going to pick me up at my condo because they'll pick you up within 5 miles of the station, take you to the station for free, and then when I get up to West Palm Beach, they'll pick me up and take me to the office at Government Center. People have died, but people have died because they refuse to abide by gates being down. I mean, the last time that Brightline put out a video to show what happened in Lake Worth, you saw what happened is a person went around someone, stopped at the gate, and pulled right in front of the engine. They can't stop. This is not another car that you hope you can, jam on the brakes. The fact is, number one, they can't swerve out of the way. And number two, they can't stop for, maybe a mile. So I hate to say this, but you can't stop stupid. If you are going to go around a gate, you are asking for trouble. In this particular situation in Lake Worth, what happened was the freight was going by and going by and going by, and he probably was frustrated and was running late and saw the end of the freight, so he zoomed around the gate and didn't realize Brightline was coming in the other direction, and just as he came out, Brightline smacked him. You gotta follow the rules of the road. You wouldn't run into an intersection on a red light. You sure don't want to run into a crossing when the gates are down and the little red lights are going back down. This has never been an accident on Brightline because of a failure of equipment. It's a failure of the operator to abide by the law. They have PSAs, they're telling people, don't do it, but you can't stop people from doing things that shouldn't be done.
Can I follow up? Is there any talk about grade crossing elimination by elevating the crossings?
No. What we are talking about, and it's an interesting conversation which I'm having with Keith James, the mayor of West Palm Beach. If you ever came into West Palm Beach, you'll notice that there's two sets of tracks within about a mile of each other. You have the FEC tracks and the CSX tracks. And we're talking about the potential of going under and creating a nice greenway between the Kravis and the Convention Center and Rosemary Square. That whole area will be turned into a beautiful park, and meanwhile you wouldn't have that backup that when you get off I-95 having to wait for either the Amtrak or the freight or when you get down to the other track to the Tri-Rail. So there is a potential. No, we're not going to go above. That's just not going to happen. Next.
Inflation is bad, but nothing exceeds the cost of homeowners insurance right now. Was that part of your discussion today?
We didn't discuss it today.
A group up in Tallahassee to help with that?
Look, let me tell you something, and I used to work for an insurance company. Yeah, they make a profit. But the fact of the matter is they have to go to the state to justify the rates. One of the carriers, which is the state carrier called Citizens, is raising their rates by 11%. Why are they doing that? Because there's additional claims. It comes down to the fact that inflation causes the claims to go up in cost. People were making a lot of claims, especially for roofs, and that has an impact on your rates. It's just a matter of, if it could be sold at a cheaper rate, another insurance company would come in and say, look, this company wants $5,000 for your insurance, for $2,500 I'll write the insurance. Well, that might be okay as long as he has enough capacity to write it so that if you do have a problem or a hurricane comes in, they're going to have enough money to pay everybody's claims. There's no easy answer to it. The claims are what's driving the premiums higher, unfortunately.
So, follow up. So if you have workforce housing, the homeowners insurance is going to be tough for them to meet as well.
Absolutely. I mean, you have a house, obviously you have to pay insurance, you have to pay taxes, and you have to pay for the guy who's going to cut you on. All that's part of living in paradise.
Why do the people that don't have claims get penalized? Last year I got a $1,900 increase.
Because everybody pays for, everyone in this room.
No claims is wrong.
One person in this room may have a claim, the rest of us may not. The insurance company's got to cover that over all of us. If one of us has a claim for $100,000, well, your premium, your premium, your premium, your premium all went to take care of that claim. What we do with insurance is we pool our risk. We've decided, unless your mortgage lender says you must have insurance, if you carry insurance on certain things, you made the decision, I don't want to carry that all on my own shoulders. So we pool the risk. And even though you are a good driver or you are a good, you don't have any claims.
You pay premium, you pay surcharge.
You're
Why are we paying a surcharge with a clean record, with no claim history?
It's just a matter of pooling the risk. Yes, sir.
Another Brightline question. I thought the whole selling point for Brightline was a bullet train, Miami, West Palm, Orlando, zip.
It's not a bullet, but let me tell you, it only takes them about a minute and a half to stop in Boca and then get going again. There's only going to be a station now in Miami, Fort Lauderdale, Aventura, Boca, and there's probably going to be one more north of here, somewhere like Jupiter. And then from there on, it's probably going to maybe have one or two more stops on the way up to Miami. It's not Tri-Rail. You know, Tri-Rail stops and stops and stops and stops. That's your commuter. This is meant to be something that's going to be, first of all, the rate's going to be much higher. You know, on Tri-Rail, it's about a $5 ride. This will probably be about a $25 ride.
So you don't think there'd be a risk for any of those other counties north of there? They're going to say, wait a second, why didn't we want one?
I can't speak for them. This is a private venture. That they are not coming to us for money. And when I say us as taxpayers, you know, they got some subsidies for some parts of the building that they've done. But ultimately, this is going to be unlike Tri-Rail. Tri-Rail, which is run basically at a loss, and Miami-Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach County each throw in to make it affordable so that more people will use it as a commuter rail. But, you know, Brightline is, for me, I think it's very exciting. I think it's exciting because I live in the city, and I am hoping that we'll have a performing arts center in downtown Boca, and then people will come here from Fort Lauderdale, from West Palm Beach, and really enjoy downtown Boca. Looking for any more hands? All right, well, thank you very much. It's been my pleasure, and I wanted to introduce Lucia. Where are you, Lucia? There you are. Lucia is my legislative aide. Lucia has been there since before I got there. She was with Stephen Abrams, who was my immediate predecessor, and she was with Mary McCarty, who was there before Stephen. So she knows where all the dead bodies are, and she is really very important to me. I'm the pretty face, she does the work. So thank you very much. I know she handed out some information. Even though I am not your district commissioner, feel free if there's anything that I can do for you as the county mayor. It is more than my pleasure to help you out. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Mayor. You keep saying you're not our district commissioner, but there are communities in West Boca that are actually in your district that you represent and that you represent very well. And I've had the pleasure actually of working with Lucia for a long time and with you on some drainage issues that we've had. And certainly we appreciate your help. I know when we've gone to for West Boca issues, you've always been helpful, and we appreciate that. And we'll be seeing you soon as well.
Thank you, Sharon.
Do you want to talk about it, Ellen?
I'll be happy to talk about that.
Actually, yeah, you know what, while he's feeling it out, Ellen, and when Ellen tells you about this, we were at the South County at the Art Festival, January 1st. And at that festival, we had a tent set up, and members of the council board were there and took questions and helped people with what they needed. And one of the things that they had brought up was that the fence at the playground at the park, which is a tremendous playground, boundless playground for handicapped, for anybody to enjoy that playground. It's a wonderful place. The gate has been missing from that playground. So the playground, you could literally just walk right out into the parking lot. And we know that we don't have the best drivers in West Boca. And we know that kids don't stay when you say sit here and I'll be right back, whatever. They're playing on the playground. Anyways, it was brought up to us, and we contacted Parks and Recreation, and that gate's been restored to the park, and the kids are safe, and we're happy that the residents brought it to our attention. So, and those are some of the things that we do. Any questions, anything that we can help you with, we are happy to do so. And Ellen Winikoff, who is our Vice President, do you want to explain the map?
I'll explain the map. Because we were at an art show, we decided to ask my friend who was an art teacher in Palm Beach County Schools, now retired, if she would paint a picture of West Boca and the accomplishments that West Boca Community Council has had. So when you take a look at this, you will see those little black areas mark just some of the things we have done over the decades. We have been working with the residents of West Boca, and starting with the dump, or the no dump, and University Parkway. We could, but please take a look at it. Just a friend who is an artist and was able to do that. And by the way, she lives across the street from Sherry, so but I knew her first. Anyway, do take a look. I think you'll find that what we have contributed over the years is a lot of what you're asking for and what we can do.
It's only a small percentage of things that we've done. I mean, you know what? How many people here know that it was the West Boca Community Council that was instrumental in getting the Veterans Cemetery in Palm Beach County up on 441 in Boynton? It was our Danny Levitt, who sat on our council board, that worked with Congressman Wexler to get that Veterans Cemetery. And actually, I don't know who I was talking to recently, that there was supposed to be a bench or a tree planted, and that never happened, and we're gonna make sure that happens in Danny's honor. Was it you I talked to?
Give me some information.
I'll give you the information. That's on your plate, but yes, I mean, that was a tremendous accomplishment for West Boca Community Council. And there's so many things that we've done that we're very proud of, and that you've all been a part of, and either brought your ideas to us or your issues to us that we were able to solve. So thank you all so very much. And with that, you done?
I'm done.
We will see you, Mike?
Are you going to continue to meet here, or are you going to go back over to the...
We're going to continue to meet here as long as the library will have us. We're going to stay here, and our next meeting next month is going to be our representatives back from Tallahassee with an update, and it's also our annual meeting of our election. So we hope to see everybody next month. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Always good to see you. Thank you.
Oh, I got it.
Thank you.